There comes a point in every rare soul's journey when loneliness feels like a divine sentence. You look at the sky and wonder if the universe has forgotten your name. You give love freely, but it isn't understood. You offer loyalty, but it is taken for granted. You stand in the crowd, yet feel unseen. But what if this emptiness isn't punishment? What if it's preparation? The universe, in its mysterious precision, never sends the right person to an unready soul. Before true love arrives, it breaks, rebuilds, and redefines you, until you become capable of loving not from need, but from wholeness. The universe has a strange and silent way of preparing rare souls. It begins with isolation, not as punishment, but as purification. You start to notice that people you once shared laughter with now speak a language you can no longer understand. The conversations feel hollow. The places that once brought joy seem to drain you, and you find yourself craving solitude without really knowing why. It feels confusing, even painful, to be disconnected from the world around you. But beneath that discomfort, something sacred is happening. The universe is removing the noise, so you can hear your own frequency again. In this season, everything that is not aligned with your growth begins to fall away. Friends drift, relationships fade. Some people betray you, others simply stop showing up. And as each one leaves, it feels like a small death. Until you realize that every loss was a form of protection. The universe is not taking people away from you, it is taking you away from what dilutes you. It's a cleansing, though at first it feels like destruction. Like gold being refined by fire, your soul is being purified of attachments that were built on need, illusion, or fear. You start spending more time alone, and at first the silence feels unbearable. The phone doesn't ring as often, the texts stop coming, and the world outside seems to continue without you. But slowly you begin to notice something extraordinary. The silence starts to speak. You begin to hear your own thoughts clearly, not the echoes of what others wanted you to believe. You remember who you were before the world told you who to be. This is when you start to feel your own energy again. Powerful, magnetic, unshaken. The isolation that once felt like exile becomes your sanctuary. It's during this period that you begin to attract different experiences. You start choosing peace over validation, truth over comfort, purpose over approval. You realize that solitude doesn't mean loneliness. It means alignment. The universe is fine-tuning your energy, raising your vibration, so that when the right person comes into your life, they can recognize your signal instantly. Without this refinement, you might mistake noise for music, chaos for chemistry, and attraction for destiny. Real love, the kind that nourishes your spirit, can only recognize itself in clarity. That's why the universe insists on your isolation before the union. You can't attract what's right for you while surrounded by distractions that keep you stuck in patterns of survival. So the universe cuts the cords. It quiets the noise. It allows the world to misunderstand you for a while so you can finally understand yourself. And though it feels lonely at times, this solitude is sacred ground. It's where your power is rebuilt, your heart is recalibrated, and your frequency becomes strong enough to call in what was always meant for you. Before the right person enters your life, the universe sends you lessons disguised as lovers, friends, or soulmates. These are the false connections, the almosts that awaken, wound, and teach you. They are not punishments, but mirrors reflecting your deepest fears, insecurities, and unhealed parts. You meet someone who feels familiar, almost fated. Their energy pulls you in like gravity, and for a moment, you believe you've found what you've always been searching for. But then, something begins to shift. The connection starts to feel heavy. The love begins to cost you peace. And though your heart resists the truth, your soul begins to whisper, "This is not it." The universe uses these encounters to show you where you still settle, where you still chase validation, and where your boundaries are too weak. Every heartbreak you endure in these false connections becomes a revelation about yourself. You start to realize that love is not meant to be earned through suffering. You see how often you mistake emotional intensity for depth or chaos for passion. You understand that someone can be deeply connected to your wounds but not aligned with your destiny. These false connections press against your pain points: jealousy, fear of abandonment, the need to prove your worth. And in doing so, they bring your shadow to light. There's a moment after every heartbreak when you ask, why does this keep happening to me? And that's when the real lesson begins. The universe is not being cruel, it's being surgical. It's cutting away illusions. It's showing you the kind energy you've been accepting in the name of love. Maybe you've been drawn to people who only love you halfway because you've been loving yourself halfway. Maybe you've tolerated inconsistency because deep down you've feared that real love might never come. These connections expose your patterns. And once you see them clearly, you can't return to the old version of yourself. There's also a strange beauty in these false connections. They teach empathy. They soften your edges and deepen your understanding of love. You begin to forgive not just others, but yourself. For staying too long, for hoping too much, for giving too freely. And in that forgiveness, you begin to evolve. The lessons become clear. Love should feel safe, not anxious. It should expand you, not shrink you. It should bring peace, not confusion. When you finally meet the right person, their energy will feel different. Calm, grounded, familiar in a way that doesn't demand explanation, but you wouldn't recognize. That peace, if you hadn't experienced the chaos first, that's the universe's design. The wrong ones teach you to see. They almost teach you to listen. The heartbreaks teach you to choose differently. Every false connection is a divine rehearsal for the real thing, the one that won't test your worth, but reflect it back to you effortlessly. The universe has a way of dismantling everything you thought you knew about yourself before it allows love to truly enter your life. It doesn't do this to destroy you, but to awaken you, to strip away the illusions of love built on ego, control, and desire for validation. When your ego rules, love becomes a transaction. You give affection to be seen, you care to be needed, you perform kindness to be valued. But the universe knows that kind of love is fragile, conditional, and easily broken. So, it begins the sacred work of breaking your ego, not out of cruelty, but out of mercy, because only through that breaking can your heart truly awaken. This process often begins with loss. You might lose people you thought were your forever. You might lose status, reputation, or the version of yourself that seemed invincible. The universe will take away everything that props up your pride and forces you to face your naked, unfiltered self. You start to realize that the person you were trying so hard to be, the perfect partner, the successful one, the unbreakable one, was a mask. And when that mask falls, you feel vulnerable, exposed, even empty. But that emptiness is not failure. It's the clearing of space for something real to be born. The ego hates this process. It fights it with denial, blame, and resistance. You might tell yourself you don't need anyone. You might close your heart out of fear of being hurt again. But deep down, something in you begins to soften. The walls that once protected you now feel like a prison. Slowly, you start craving authenticity over control, truth over comfort. That's the moment the awakening begins, when you stop chasing love as proof of your worth and start seeking it as an extension of your wholeness. One man once described how his life fell apart before he met his true partner. He lost his job, his money, his confidence. The person he thought he was, successful, admired, untouchable, vanished overnight. In that darkness, he met someone who didn't care about his titles or failures. She saw his essence, the part that was buried under all his striving. And in that moment, he realized love wasn't about being impressive. It was about being real. That's what the universe teaches when it breaks your ego, that you are not loved for your image, but for your essence. The right person doesn't arrive to feed your pride. They arrive to awaken your heart. They reflect your truth, not your mask, and you can't meet them until you face the rawest version of yourself. That's why the universe humbles you first, so that when love comes, it meets a soul that's open, sincere, and free from the need to dominate or be rescued. Only then does love stop being a performance and start being a prayer, before the universe allows you to experience real, soul-level love with another person. It first teaches you the art of loving yourself. It removes distractions, forces you into solitude, and places you in situations where the only person you can rely on, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, is yourself. At first, this feels like abandonment. You may wonder why your relationships keep failing, why people keep leaving, or why you always end up being the one who cares more. But in truth, the universe is guiding you toward the most important relationship you will ever have, the one with your own soul. In this phase, you start learning what it really means to choose yourself. You begin to notice how often you've tolerated things that drained you just to feel loved. You remember all the times you gave when your heart was already empty, or stayed silent when your boundaries were crossed because you feared being alone. The universe takes away those false sources of comfort so you can finally confront the truth. Love that costs your self-respect isn't love, it's self-abandonment. This is when the transformation begins, when you realize that peace is worth more than approval and solitude is better than conditional affection. Self-love isn't about arrogance or ego, it's about balance. It's the gentle discipline of treating yourself with the same compassion you so freely give to others. It's learning to rest when you're tired, to walk away when something doesn't honor your worth, and to trust that what's meant for you will never require you to shrink. The universe will give you opportunities to practice this, small moments that test whether you'll betray yourself again for the illusion of love. You'll feel tempted to return to people who once made you feel needed but never valued. You'll be drawn to familiar pain because it feels like home, but every time you choose yourself instead, you shift the energy around you. You begin to emit a new frequency, one that says, "I am whole, even when I am alone." That's when the magic happens. The more you nurture your own soul, the more your world begins to transform. Your standards rise, your energy becomes clearer. You stop begging for crumbs and start expecting respect. You no longer chase love, you attract it, because you've become what you were seeking. The universe honors that energy. It responds to self-respect with alignment. When the right person finally appears, they will meet you on this higher frequency. They won't complete you. They'll recognize you. They'll love you not because you need them, but because your wholeness inspires theirs. This is the secret of divine timing. The universe never sends you someone to fix your loneliness. It sends you someone who matches your peace. And until that day arrives, it will keep reminding you that the greatest romance of all begins within. The universe doesn't work according to your schedule. It works according to your evolution. You may think you're ready for love, ready for partnership, ready for the one. But the universe knows whether your readiness comes from patience or from impatience disguised as hope. When the right person hasn't arrived yet, it's not because you're unworthy. It's because alignment hasn't yet occurred. The universe doesn't send you perfection. It sends you preparation. It's not about finding the flawless person or becoming flawless yourself. It's about becoming energetically, emotionally, and spiritually compatible with what you desire. Many people mistake loneliness for readiness. They think being tired of waiting means being prepared. But true readiness comes from peace, not from longing. The universe delays certain connections because if they came too early, they would collapse under the weight of your unhealed wounds. It's not rejection, it's protection. Imagine planting a seed and demanding it bloom the next day. The roots haven't formed yet. The soil still needs time. In the same way, the universe lets you grow your emotional roots, resilience, wisdom, clarity, so that when love arrives, it can actually take hold and flourish. Sometimes you will meet the right person at the wrong time. The connection will feel electric, undeniable, but circumstances won't allow it to thrive. Maybe you're still healing from past pain or they're still figuring out their purpose. It's heartbreaking when something feels divine, but doesn't fit into the present moment. Yet this, too, is divine, because timing is an element of love's wisdom. If love comes when you're not ready to receive it, it can turn into chaos instead of harmony. The universe understands this better than you do. And so it waits. It waits until your growth matches your longing. You might see others around you moving faster, getting married, having children, building lives together, and you may start to feel behind, but comparison blinds you to divine orchestration. The universe is not rushing you, it's composing something meaningful for you. Every heartbreak, every delay, every season of silence is a recalibration. The universe is aligning experiences, choices, and lessons on both ends, yours and your future partners. It's shaping both of you into the versions of yourselves who will be capable of building something that lasts. When the right moment finally comes, everything will unfold effortlessly. You won't need to force it, chase it, or question it. You'll realize that all the waiting wasn't wasted time. It was sacred preparation. You were never being held back. You were being lined up. And when you look back, you'll see that if love had arrived earlier, it would have met a version of you that wasn't ready to hold it. The universe aligns timing, not perfection. Because love isn't about flawless people finding each other. It's about two evolving souls meeting at the exact moment they can finally grow together. So if you find yourself in the waiting, suspended between who you were and who you are becoming, remember this: nothing is wasted. Every heartbreak, every season of solitude, every unanswered prayer has been shaping you into someone capable of receiving real love. The universe doesn't forget rare souls, it refines them. It strips away the noise, tests your heart, humbles your ego, teaches you self-love, and aligns your timing. All so that when love finally arrives, you can meet it with depth, not desperation. You were never meant to chase love that costs your peace. You were meant to grow into a version of yourself that love can recognize without confusion. The right person will not arrive to rescue you from your loneliness, but to join you in your wholeness. They will not complete you. They will mirror the completeness you've already built within. And in that moment, you'll see that every delay was divine, every tear was sacred, and every ending was simply a doorway to something truer, because the universe doesn't give rare souls ordinary stories. It gives them love that arrives after the fire, when both hearts have learned to stand on their own, strong, awake, and ready to walk forward together.